And Jade, I'm going to share my screen, and if you'll just, are you seeing the slide?
Yep.
All right. Okay, here we go. So, welcome everyone to 10 simple steps to success in business. Now, I said simple, but I didn't say easy, right? Okay, so just full disclosure. And if you could, please drop your name in the chat box, where you are, and what your business is. And Jade, did that advance? Can you give me a thumbs up? Awesome. Okay, excellent. We are rocking and rolling, and I'm so happy you all are here to rock and roll with me today. So I'm going to be your guide, and my name is Alicia Wilfert, and my name always trips people up. So it's pronounced Alicia, but you can call me Lish or Ish, like my family does, if that is easier for you. And I am a coach to impactful entrepreneurs just like all of you, and I'm here to help you add some extra income and consistency to your revenue through my work and my deep dives. And you know, I became an entrepreneur 8.5 years ago, and that does not count my childhood entrepreneurial activities like setting up a stand to sell pot holders at the chiropractor's office next to my house while I was growing up, or my 6 years of selling Girl Scout cookies, or my 4 years of selling Mary Kay. So I am so excited that all of you are here today and on this journey with me. So I want to assure you that wherever you're struggling in your business right now, you are absolutely in the right place. Listen, I've been there too. It took me several years even to be comfortable calling myself an entrepreneur. But, you know, I've made so many mistakes in the last 8 years of entrepreneurship. In fact, I feel like I've made them all. And I've finally earned that title of entrepreneur so that you don't have to make those mistakes, but you can call yourself an entrepreneur with more confidence and ease. And that fear that you might have, I just want you to drop it and let go of it for this 1 hour if you can. So if there's any fear that you have around your business or your work, for this 1 hour, I want you to name it so that you can tame it. Drop that fear in the chat box that you might have around your business, because I want you to see that you are less alone. But then after we drop it in the chat box, as you drop it in the chat box, I want you to imagine just letting go of it. Because these struggles that you are experiencing right now, I promise you that there are solutions for. And I assure you that wherever you are feeling stuck, there is a way forward. And just showing up here today tells me that you are absolutely ready to take the steps to move your business forward. So think of me as inviting you into my home today, pouring you a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and sharing my favorite simple business tips. And then at the end of this, I'm going to give you an opportunity to go deeper with me, and I'm super excited about it, and I know you will be too. And also for everyone who stays live through the masterclass, I will make sure that you get these slides along with, you should already have a worksheet to accompany this. So before we jump into the 10 tips, I want to let you know that even though these are relatively simple, and I could probably actually teach a 2-hour masterclass deep dive on each of these principles. So I'm going to go fast. And if you feel overwhelmed, know that I've outlined everything for you in that PDF that I sent out beforehand. And when you get overwhelmed, just pause and breathe and remind yourself that you'll get there, and you're also going to be getting the recording of today. So you can come back to these principles over and over again. All right, are we ready to go? If so, drop it in the chat box, drop yes in the chat box, and here we go. Okay, Tip number one, first, mindset matters, right? The only difference between you and the person who is already doing it or doing what you want to be doing is mindset. There are some important business shifts mindset business shifts that we can make together. So first of all, a lot of the things I'm going to say here, you've probably heard before. Chances are like they are not new, but keep an open mind and try to notice when a fixed mindset is setting in, and just explore that there's an opportunity here to grow. So in Mindset Matters, in your first page of the workshop, I've got this outline for you. Failure is fuel. So growth is the willingness to try and fail repeatedly. I just want you all to stop buying the Happy Meal, because what you really want is you want a farm to table experience, and that is a success story that does not happen overnight. So that overnight success is not a real thing. That's totally empty calories. It's a Happy Meal. It is fake. It's the toy that breaks the first time you play with it, right? You and your work, you are a farm to table experience, and those take time. You are setting the table for your clients. So just know that you are not a Happy Meal. You are farm to table experience, and they take time. Okay. You are never going to feel ready. So I want you to put your swimsuit on, jump in and do it. You have to start now and start before you are ready. And you are going to have to just keep jumping over and over and over before you know if you were even successful with that first jump. So when I left corporate America and started this business, I thought it was going to be just this one big, tremendous leap. And then all of a sudden I was going to sink or fail, and I'd know right away if I was a success. And the funny thing is like, that is not how it works. You are going to jump, and you don't know if you've caught wind or not, and you're going to have to jump again and again and again. So what I want you to do right now is, on your worksheet, I want you to reflect. What are your top 3 limiting beliefs holding you back in your business right now? Just go ahead and write them down. And then once you've got them written down, I want you to drop just one of them that you're comfortable sharing into the chat box, okay? And while you're doing that, I'm just going to stop sharing really quick because I want to see what y'all are putting in the chat box here. I'm curious what these top 3 limiting fears are. Cynthia, you just said that you're afraid that you are going to fail at this. So what we focus on grows, right? So I want you to think about dropping that, letting that go, and think about what is the best thing that could possibly happen. Picture the best possible outcome and focus all of your energy on that, okay? All right, I'm gonna go back to my little screen share here. And Jade, can you give me a thumbs up if we're back on the screen share?
Yep.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, all right, so tip number 2. These are the 3 C's of business, and these are really important, okay? These are super important. The 3 C's of business. First, C, cash. Income equals impact. Every day, I need you to ask yourself, what have you done to get you closer to the cash? Cash is the life force of your business. If cash is not coming in, you are not growing. It is not a good thing, right? So we need to get cash into your business. So what have you done today to get you closer to the cash? So Maddie, I know you're on the call. So have you called to book a gig anywhere? That would look like prospecting for you. Those of us, Cynthia, have you reached out to any new clients? Have you been you probably don't do door knocking, but some industries, they do the door knocking, right? Have you done discovery calls with new clients? What is getting you closer to the cash to make a sale? Now, The second C of business is community. Now more than ever, especially post pandemic, we are craving community, right? So we are following people on social media that make us feel seen, heard, and loved, right? So right now, social media is the freest advertising available to you. So love it or hate it. If you hate it, I suggest changing your mindset around it because it's free and it's an easy way to get you closer to the cash. Treat social media like your altar. We are there to love on our people, to love on each other, whether it is LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever you are. We want to make our community feel seen, heard, and loved. So are you curating your social media content in a way that builds community and interaction? And are you creating learn from me content instead of look at me content? That's really important. People want to follow not just a community, but they want to know that they're going to learn something by following you. And that's super important. So C1 is cash, C2 is community. And then C number 3, connection. All right, connection. This is super important. Connection to yourself and to the divine, to the higher power, right? So this is paramount. One of the biggest things that I have learned in business is that this is a complete exercise in faith. So your relationship to the divine is paramount in your business. And oftentimes this is counterintuitive, but we can strengthen our relationship to the divine by strengthening our relationship to ourselves. The divine is who put that intuition within you, right? So finding ways to listen to and cultivate your own intuition is really important in this process. So your connection to yourself, what I want to say, and I want you to hear me, I want you to really hear this. We are not our work. Those of us who are entrepreneurs, oftentimes we are building businesses that feel like we are coming home to ourselves, but we are still not our work. So have you journaled today? Have you meditated? Have you taken a walk? Have you done a workout? Have you prayed? Have you painted? What are you doing to strengthen your connection to yourself and the divine? I'm telling you, it is paramount, and it is what will get you through when you are in the valley of entrepreneurship. And believe me, the valley happens often. So what would you add here? I'm curious. So just make a note in your workbook. What would you add as something that gets you closer to personal connection to yourself and closer to connection to spirit? And if you're comfortable, drop it in the chat box. Okay, business tip, successful business tip number 3. This is one of my favorite. It is the Abby Gibb Epiphany Bridge. Okay, so I love this. My mentor, my coach, is a woman named Abby Gibb, and this is so important. So your client is on one side of the Epiphany Bridge. You're on the other side, right? So your client is here and you are here. Okay. And you have already gotten to where your client wants to be. And it is your job to walk back across that bridge, take them by the hand, reassure them that you are on their side, you know the way, and you can take them with you over the troubled waters to your side of the bridge. So I want you to take a quick moment right now. Like, take this moment. We're going to do a little meditation here, okay? So we're going to do what I call the Epiphany Bridge meditation. So I want you to take a comfortable seat, close your eyes, take a big deep breath in. And I want you to just connect with your body. And I want you to imagine your client on the other side of the bridge. And I want you to think about what he or she wants most. Who are they? Who is that person? What are they afraid of? What is their biggest hope? And I want you to imagine walking across the bridge to them, taking them by the hand. What are you going to say to them? What do they need to hear? How will you show them that you love them, that you've been there? And then I want you to walk them over the bridge with you. Just imagine what that looks like. Are the waters underneath calm or raging? Is it a stable bridge or is it a swinging bridge over a huge ravine? And what is it going to feel like for them when they get to the other side with you? What impact have you made for walking them across that bridge? Okay, so I want you to just take a moment and come back from that and then jot down in as much detail what you remember from that, because this is really important. This gives you an idea of your ideal client, who they are, what their fears are, what their hopes are, and then what you want to say to them and what it's going to look like to walk them back over that bridge. That can be really useful in your marketing later. Okay, so moving along, I told you I was going to move fast. So let's move on to, this is tip number 4. Well, really, it's still actually number 3, but this is part of the Epiphany Bridge. So I want you to really be clear. I want you to think about that client you were walking across the bridge. What is it that you actually do for them, right? This is an XYZ sentence. The more clear we can be on who we serve, what we do, and how quickly we help them do it, the more easily we will connect with the right clients. So an XYZ sentence is I help X, which is your ideal client, go from Y, where they currently are, to Z, where they want to go in a certain amount of time, okay? So my example of my current XYZ sentence is I help creatives, makers, entrepreneurs, and seekers going through transitions create financially flourishing businesses and lives in just 6 weeks. Just 6 weeks. So, and you'll see on your PDF, you'll see an example of what Abby Gibbs's sentence is. Here's what I want you to know about this sentence. This can go right in the bio of your Instagram, right? Right in the bio of your Instagram. It can be the new statement at the top of your LinkedIn. It can be the new sentence at the top of your website heading. Be clear about who you serve, what you do for them, and in how long it takes to get there. As clear as you can be is super important. Super important. Okay. Progress, not perfection with this. So hear me. This is super important. If it's not exactly right, don't let that stop you from putting it up. This can evolve into things. The more you do your work, the more you put things out there, the more this will evolve. Okay. Progress, not perfection, is so important in this piece. It's just super important that what you're doing is you're putting what you have out there. It will evolve, and that's okay. Okay, now on to number 4. We need to know our ideal client inside and out. I know you've heard this before, especially if you've been an entrepreneur for a really long time. But we can't escape this. And this is something that we can come back to over and over and over again. Your ideal client, the one you just walked over the Epiphany Bridge, who is he or she? Who are they? right? We just need to know our ideal client inside and out. And what we want to do is we want to paint the picture of our ideal client, right? So when we come back to this, when we know our ideal client avatar, ICA, when we know them inside and out, it makes writing copy on our website, on our Instagram, so much easier. It helps us create copy that converts, selling to the right people, right? So it helps us not feel gross when we're selling too, because if you know that person inside and out, you're talking to a friend, you're telling them, you're serving them because you know them inside and out. It's easy to show them that you love them, that you know what they're going through. So this copy that you have in your PDF is going to ask you a lot of questions to help you paint the picture of that ideal client so that you can sell a product that delights them every single time because you know them inside and out. So really think about painting that portrait. Look over that worksheet really quick right now and you can do a deep dive later, but just answer some of them, okay? And if you kind of know who that ideal client is, drop it in the chat box. I would love to see what you hear, okay? So again, we could do a 2-hour worksheet just on the ideal client avatar and painting the picture of that person. But this will help you too. Like, let's say you go on a podcast or are interviewed by somebody and you're telling a story. You can tell a story directly to that ideal client if you know who they are. So I speak a lot to elder millennials, right? So those elder millennials, you know, they're on the cusp between millennial and Gen X, right? So they're like hovering right in that place. So they're going to know who Doogie Howser is, you know, they're going to know who the Rugrats are. You know, there's certain things that those elder millennials are going to know. They might even know MASH, right? In a way, and you can speak to them and, you know, they still remember picking up the telephone, right? Their parents might have had a rotary phone, you know, and that's going to be a different experience than, you know, a younger millennial. So you're going to be able to speak right to them. Is that person while they're listening to the podcast? So did what I say, did that just make you want to pull out an AirPod, right? Speak to your clients. You'll know them inside and out by going through this exercise. Okay, now moving on to tip number 5. Okay, build your email list. Treat it like a sacred friendship. This is one of your main channels of building relationship, serving your community, and selling to that community. We must treat our email list as something sacred. Treat it with reverence. What I have found is oftentimes when I reach out to people about whether or not they want to partner with me in something, or if they want to be on my podcast, one of the first questions they ask me is, how big is your list? So building this list, and you can start wherever you are and build, because it will serve you in so many ways, and it can open up channels that you didn't even know you wanted. But another piece to this is that you own your list. We don't own our following on Instagram. We don't own our following on Facebook or LinkedIn or any of those other platforms, YouTube, whatever it is that you enjoy, or maybe you don't enjoy, but like I said, we got to change our mindset about that because it's free advertising. We don't own those spaces. So those followers, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, what we're trying to do is we can offer them free opt-ins, 30-day meditations or master classes, or journaling prompts, whatever it is, Maddie songs, that's an easy one, right? If you've got a new song or an album, you might not get the whole album away, but you could drop a song to build that email list, right? And so what you want to do is you want to convert those followers into your email list, right? So I can't emphasize this enough. We want to build this email list. We want to treat it as a sacred friendship. And we want to, this is also a place that we can monetize. So a really interesting number that you might be surprised to learn is that it said that at a minimum, you can expect to earn $1 per person per email list per month. So you can kind of like project income by knowing how many people are on your email list and then growing it. The more you're growing that email list, the more you are projecting future income, which I think is a really fascinating statistic and has rung very true for me. Okay, so some beginning ways that you can build your email list. So first, the really easiest entry level way is send a personalized email to friends and family, letting them know what you're doing, asking them to sign up for your email list and to spread the word. Then, have a high value giveaway on your website that helps people sign up. Like I talked about, like maybe it's a free song, maybe it's 30 days of meditation, whatever that is. You can guest blog on other people's blogs. You can appear on other people's podcasts and have them, come back to you to sign up for something, give an offering, maybe, 30 days of journaling prompts or whatever it is. So these are beginning ways. The more intermediate ways is to be a guest on someone else's, podcast or summit. But you have to have high converting offerings from those things. And then again, like podcast, starting your own podcast, that is a very long game strategy, but that's a great way. And then leading things like master classes like this, more of an advanced strategy. Okay, so I want you to do one thing here. I want you to think about, of those list building options, I want you to look at one of them that you are attracted to. I want you to write it down. And then I want you to try, progress, not perfection here, implementing it by the end of next week. So actionable step. And I want you to drop in the chat box which one it is that you want to do. Okay, tip number 6, give your customers a starring role, okay? So make your work all about your customers. That seems so easy, but sometimes in the business building, we really lose sight of who we're serving. It's crazy, but it's true. This happens, right? We get so caught up in the stress of business building that all of a sudden, sometimes we lose sight of our customers. So it's so great to come back to this over and over and over. I would come back to these exercises, quarterly if you can. Think through your customer experience from beginning, middle to end, because the customer experience is crucial. So, you've got these questions, this checklist on your workbook, but I really want you to ask yourself these questions. Like, does your copy make them feel seen, heard, and loved? Have you thought through that client experience from start to finish? How are you bringing in elements of surprise and delight? And then from the beginning of your funnel, like that opt-in, to the end of the client experience, have you thought through all of those details? Once a client purchases from you, if they are a higher ticket item, do they get a surprise thank you gift? Have you found a way to automate that? Do you write any handwritten thank you notes? After the client has gone through the process, have you followed up with them to find out not just the result, but the result of the result, right? So you can ask them, what did they get out of that experience? And then what did that lead them to? How has that changed their world? How has that changed their life? And then how else could you possibly give your clients a starring role? So I would, if you want to take this homework further, this is really powerful homework to think through, like write out your customer's journey from start to finish and what the experience with you and your business should look and feel like, and then find out where you can automate those things. Okay, tip number 7, consistency matters. Ugh, y'all, this one, ooh. This can be hard for a lot of folks for a lot of different reasons, especially us empaths out there, right? Us highly sensitive people. So whether we are writing blog posts, publishing podcasts, sending newsletters, showing up in a community group, consistency helps us establish trust. It lets our groups, our people know what to expect from us and how to find us. And when you think about it from a blog or a podcast perspective, it also helps us boost our SEO. The more consistent we can be, it will help us get a higher ranking. So some ways to do that. So think through, where in your business right now do you need to bring more consistency to the table? Are you consistent in your blog posts, your podcasts, your newsletters, as something as simple as your social media posting? Is it consistent? Do folks know about when they can expect to see something from you? Do you have a publishing calendar? This can be really helpful in your marketing work. If you have a publishing calendar and you just follow that calendar for your blog posts, your podcasts, your newsletters, and your social media posts. Okay. Tip number 8, community is queen, right? So here's the thing. Like I said, in the 3 C's, this kind of goes back to that. People want community now more than ever. And so what we are trying to do is we are trying to build our social media accounts in a way that create community. And it will work if you are willing to put in the work, right? So I want you to pick 2 platforms. It doesn't matter if it's TikTok or LinkedIn or Instagram. And I want you to commit to becoming a maven at this area and to really, really do it in a way that you are going to either entertain, teach, or build community. Instagram is still really, really growing. Clubhouse is absolutely still growing, and TikTok is really growing. So those are 3 spaces where you can still kind of get in and really move the needle in your business. Facebook can be challenging. I think that Facebook is probably on the way out as far as growth is concerned. So if you're going to pick a platform to spend your time, you can push a lot of what you're doing out to Facebook through the other platforms. And it can be, so I know that Facebook groups have been in the past a great place to build a community, but start thinking more outside of that box, because I have a feeling that box is going away. So some ways to build community and connection within social media platforms. Right now on Instagram, for every new follower I get, I private message them. And I don't just do a text message, I actually video the message. And I say to them, hey, I'm Alicia. I'm a real person. I'm not a social media account. And I'm trying to put the social back in social media. I'm so grateful that you're here. And I can't wait to get to know you a little bit more. I send that to every single non-creepy account that I get, because I do sometimes get some creepy account followers. So that's a great way. And not only does that help you build rapport with that person, but also it moves their messages your messages, your content higher up in their feed. Once they DM back and forth with you, it moves the messaging back up, which is really interesting. Like I said, your posts on these platforms should do one of three things. They should teach, they should make your followers feel seen, heard, and loved. And then the third thing it could do is entertain. So if it doesn't do one of those three things, then there's probably not really a point in posting it. So ask yourself before you post if what you're doing is going to do one of those three things. Okay. Have a strategy to convert your audience into your email list. This is super important. Like I said, think back to what your offering is and let people, when you do a post, you can say, hey, DM me for that link, because then they're going to have the DM connection. There's a warm connection, and they're more likely to go click and get that thing. Okay, another thing that we can do if you're on Instagram is what's called, this is a strategy created by Gary Vee. It's the $80 strategy. And there is a website that makes this really efficient. I actually pay to do this. I have the hashtags of the top 10 hashtags of who I think, of hashtags that I think my ideal client might be following. So meditation or wellness or entrepreneurship and or creativity, journaling. You know, I've got like hashtag morning pages, hashtag journaling. I go to those each day, and for the top 10 posts of those hashtags, I leave a comment and a like. So that's 90 comments, about 90 comments a day that I post. It spreads goodwill. It creates new followers. It keeps you on the app longer. And this is it's a shit ton of work, y'all. I'm just going to tell you that right now. If you have an intern, this is a great activity for an intern to do. So just a note there. It is that particular exercise is outside of my comfort zone, but the combination of all of these things in the past 4 weeks, I mean, I've gained over 100 new followers. That's 100 more eyes of warm potential leads on my content that would have been, that they weren't there 4 weeks ago, right? This is free. So free takes some work until you have the capital to do other things, right? So when you invest in those online communities, it does pay off, but it takes work, okay? All right, so tip number 9, ask for testimonials. Okay, if you don't ask, the answer is always no, right? How many times have we heard that? It's really true. And it's really true. You might wonder how people get testimonials. Oftentimes they ask. So your clients typically won't necessarily send you notes telling you what their experience was like. Always ask them to share, right? You can make it easy for your clients to give you a glowing review by doing what we talked about in number 6, making your client the star. Make sure you're sending a thank you note, thank you email within 24 to 48 hours of the client either receiving the product or completing the service. And then ask them if they know of anyone like them who could use the service or product they just received, so that you're potentially getting a referral out of that testimonial as well. Those referrals can be the lifeblood of our businesses. I know they are for me. And just ask them if they'd be willing to share a testimonial, and you can help them write it by giving them some of these prompts, like, why did you initially take part in this program? What did you gain from the experience? And what was the result of the result? So ask them to go there. What would you tell someone thinking about taking this course or experiencing this thing? These are great prompts that you can put in the email. Now, oftentimes you'll get back a lot, and you can kind of look at what they've put together, kind of scrub it down and send it back, send back to them the scrubbed down version and say, does this work? Does this add, does this say, use their words, but kind of cut out anything that's non-essential? Say, does this represent what your experience with me was like? That way you have something that fits where you need it to fit. It doesn't have to be exactly that way. I would also let them know that you want something that's probably 2 to 3 sentences, because that quick content, it makes it a lot easier for you to share in other places. Okay. So tip number 9, and we've talked about it a little bit already. Done is better than done perfectly. Listen, I promise you this. This is always true. The perfect thing that you're working on, that you've been waiting for over a year to put out into the world, to hit publish on, is horrible compared to the imperfect thing that you've pushed out into the world. So oftentimes it's not that we don't know how to sell, to pitch, to put ourselves out there. It's that we will be scared that we'll be judged and rejected for it. And that's honestly the most selfish thing that you can do, because there are thousands of people who are waiting for you and your message and what you do. And by holding back a divine gift that you've been given, that's actually selfish. So don't be selfish. I want you to pause for a second, and I want you to think about where you are holding back. I want you to think about what your divine gifts are. And I want you to think about, what is that thing that you must put out into the world? And you might want to spend some time over the weekend thinking about these questions, because your gifts matter. Your energy, your work in the world, it matters, and it's important. And if you have a gift that you think you need to be sharing with the world, if something immediately comes to mind that you are waiting for perfect to put out into the world, I want you to drop it in the chat box. Okay. I want to pause here for a second, and I'm going to come off mute, or I'm going to shut this down. So first, let's look at this. So what questions are you still asking yourself about business, right? About being successful in business? What did you just uncover in this time we've just spent together? Did you have any aha moments? Where do you still need to dig? This is excavation. This work is, we are excavating here. Where do you think you need to continue the journey? And what are you eager to implement? Okay, so that's where we are now. I'm gonna stop sharing here for a second. Questions, how we doing? Now I can finally see your beautiful faces. How's it going? How are we doing? Any questions, comments, thoughts? No.
Hello.
Hi, Maddie. I'm so glad you're here. So nice to see you.
Hey, nice to see you too.
Any questions or just a hello?
Yeah, I just wanted to say hello. I like this a lot. Thank you.
I do too.
Thank you. I'm so glad y'all are here. I want to just quick check this box. Oh, limiting belief. I see in the chat box that I don't have anything worth sharing. I promise you do. I promise you. And Sarah, I could name like 5 gifts that you have that are worth sharing with the world, because I know you. Okay.
Right. Yeah. It's in looking at your own work, it's hard to decide what's important, or I am most critical of myself, in photography and anything I produce and anything. So it's like, I'm doing a lot of undoing work right now, which has been very beneficial too.
Yeah.
Word.
Maddie, as you said that you see yourself writing to others with MS, I think you'd be awesome at that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually, yeah, that came to me during this, so thanks a lot for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I say something about that, Alicia?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maddie, that touched me when I saw that. That
Awesome.
is a clear, ideal client. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Thank you for saying that.
I mean, and I believe there are people out there waiting for you to write to them.
Word. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I believe that. I felt that when I saw that.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
Cynthia, I want to speak a little life into you on your comment of that you don't know enough people. You know more than enough people. Think back to your days in Mary Kay, right? Like it just starts small and it mushrooms, and your reach is actually much bigger than you imagine it to be. And one thing I think about a lot is so often we think that our reach is smaller than it actually is. There's an Instagram reel I did recently that I was kind of joking, but I'm really serious. It was a voiceover reel where it's like 30 people might not seem a lot. That might not seem like a lot of likes on something, but if 30 people walked into your office, or 30 people walked into your shop, or 30 people came to your concert, that's a lot of people.
Yep.
That is a lot of people that you have the opportunity to touch their life, to touch and change their life, right? And so it doesn't have to be a lot. You just have to be committed to that person. You have to be committed to those people and to serving them and to sharing the gifts that you have to share. That's what's really important. Okay, so I'm going to keep moving on. We've got a little bit more to go. Let's see. Okay, Jade, will you give me a thumbs up if you can see the, awesome. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so what we have learned so far, right? So you've got this big worksheet that you can come back to over and over quarterly, but we learned that mindset matters. We talked about the 3 C's of business, right? We talked about the 3 C's of business being cash, lifeblood of your business, community, and connection to yourself and the divine. We talked about the Abby Gibbs, the epiphany bridge, walking the ideal client over the epiphany bridge and really getting clear on who that person is that we're serving, what we're helping them do, and in how quickly we're helping them do it. We are learning our ideal client inside and out, the importance of building our email list, giving our customers a starring role, being consistent, community is queen, asking for testimonials, and remembering that done is better than done perfectly because it is selfish to not share your gifts, right? So that's everything that we went through today. And I just want you to remember that wherever you are is exactly where you need to be. But if there is, if I'm sure there's probably places of these 10 tips that I just stated that you want to work on, just drop in the chat box the places that you still want to work, that you still think that you have work to do. Just drop it in the chat box. And I know that all of these tips that we've covered today probably felt like you were drinking from a fire hose, even if they're things that you heard over, if you're hearing them over and over and over. But I could literally speak for hours on each of these topics. And because of that, I just want to I'm offering a one-on-one business deep dive with me, where the focus will be specifically on either the business you want to start or the business you've already created. And we'll have a focus on getting closer to the cash. Like that's really important, especially in the early stages of the business, and working out strategy to make an impact, to really help that ideal client to be able to walk them over the epiphany bridge easily. You know, I pour myself into these one-on-ones, and it really, they'll fill the gaps in whatever you're feeling right now. So wherever you feel like there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be, that's what these strategy calls are for, and for growing your business. Sometimes we really need someone to hold our hand through that. So I'm going to drop this link in the chat box. Bear with me here a second. And okay, just drop that in the chat box for all of you. And let's see here. So these tailored deep dives, they're tailored to you and to your business. They are a 2-hour deep dive. I did one today, and it went swimmingly. I have a friend in Austin. She's actually flying me out to move. We're gonna do like 2 3-hour deep dives where she's doing a complete pivot of her business. But in these that I'm talking about today, they are 2 hours tailored to your business and your work. You will get practical, actionable steps that will move you closer to the cash, to reoccurring income, and growing your business with deliberate strategy. It does take mindset and accountability, which we'll also be working on in those deep dives. So like I said, these deep dives include, they have pre-work prep that you'll have to do before the deep dives. They'll be completed before your session. It's 2 hours of time with me. And then you get the recording, you get a transcription of the time together, you get an action plan, and then you'll get all of that access to the recording going forward and to your homework assignments. So that's what this looks like. And if you are all in, if you want to move the needle on your business by adding this one-on-one business deep dive with me, don't just take my word for it. Jade is on the call today. And what she has to say about working with me is that it's a domino effect. When you start with one small growth area, but then it inevitably awakens you to another part of yourself that needs attention. The consistency of her guidance, support, and authenticity is so refreshing, and one of the reasons I keep coming back. She has earned my trust as a leader, as a role model, as an example of divine feminine leadership. Her energy brings out the natural and beautiful energies of everyone else around her, and suddenly you don't feel so alone in your growth. This is why I can't recommend her programs enough. Whatever you're thinking about investing in right now, take the leap, invest in yourself and your growth. Your future will be thankful. And Angela Snap, I've worked with her. She said from the first time I met with Alicia, I knew I needed her in my life. Her unique mix of positive psychology, coaching, creativity, and spirituality makes her more than just a coach, but a mentor. She listens actively, celebrates my wins, holds light and love, and challenges me to be my best self. She gives me homework and ideas on how to navigate through life's challenges in creative, spiritual way. With her guidance, I've waded through the mud, floated down the river, and my light is shining brighter. My life wouldn't be the same without her, and I'm so grateful. So don't just take my word from it. There's lots of folks that I've worked with. If you want to hear more testimonials, I can share them with you. But a 2-hour deep dive with me would normally be $9.97. But when you register before July, I wanted to make these as accessible as possible. So they are $3.97 for a 2-hour deep dive. I have 10 spots available. So it's a first come, first serve basis at this pricing. And it does take about 2 to 4 weeks to get on my calendar. So from the time you purchase, if this is something that's important to you, I would act fast, because it could be a little while before you're able to actually get on my calendar to do these deep dives. Any final questions about that package? And also, I do want to let you know, if you are wondering if this is actually right for you to do a deep dive like that, just if you want to set up a a discovery call with me, a free discovery call to see if it's actually the right thing for you, just send me an email. I'm going to put my email into the chat right now, and you just email me and we can set up a deep dive. But I'm going to stop sharing and see if there are any questions here. Any questions about that offering? No. Okay. So I want to leave you all by saying that whatever it is that you're working on, whatever it is that you are doing, you are absolutely worthy of the work that you want to be doing. And you have been given gifts, divinely given gifts, and it is selfish not to put them out into the world. So my wish for all of you is that you put your gifts out into the world with whatever love you have to give. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and your weekend. Thank you for spending time with me today.